You think she's silent because she stopped loving you. Maybe you're wrong, and the truth might just make you take a hard look at yourself. She's not texting, not calling, not saying a word. But do you know what's really happening in that silence? She's quietly watching, testing, trying to see who you really are without her presence. In love, women don't always say what they feel. But when they go quiet, that's when they're seeing you the clearest. So the real question is, what are you showing her? I know that feeling, sitting there staring at a blank screen, waiting on a message that never comes. You're not alone. Almost every man has been there, and most of them react the wrong way. They panic, lose themselves, and end up losing her too. But if you're here, that means you haven't crumbled. You're still standing, still searching for a grounded path, one that lets you hold on to your dignity, strength, and calm in the middle of the emotional storm. And in this video, I'm going to take you through that path. Not to win a woman back, but to become the kind of man she can't shake, no matter how silent she gets. You ready? Let's begin. Part 1, let her go. But don't lose yourself. I want you to picture this. You wake up early one morning. The air feels strangely quiet. No texts, no familiar call notifications lighting up your screen. And then it hits you, she's gone. No argument, no big fight, no long explanation. Just not there anymore. And a silence starts to settle in. A space that was once filled with her voice, her laughter, her presence is now just you and the quiet. And yeah, it hurts. Of course it does. You're human. We all are. We love. We attach. We trust. And then one day, the person we let in walks away, leaving behind 1,000 unanswered questions. But here's what I need you to hear. Something the seasoned men know. The men who've trained their minds with Stoic discipline. When someone chooses to leave your life, don't let yourself walk away from your own path. The pain that's real. The regret, I get it. But what you must hold on to at all costs is your self-respect, your core, that unshakable center in the middle of the storm. Because you know what? A lot of men don't actually lose the woman first. They lose themselves before they lose anything else. They start texting constantly, hoping for a reply. They start lowering themselves, saying things they don't even believe just to break the silence. They scramble to win her back, not out of real love, but out of fear of being alone. And in that clinging, what they lose isn't her. It's their dignity. Have you ever been there? I have. And maybe you have too. That moment where you think, if I just say one more thing, if I just bend a little more, maybe she'll stay. But listen to me carefully. If you have to trade your values just to keep someone next to you, then the one worth staying is you. With you. Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our interpretation of what happens to us." A woman leaving. That's what happened. But what you make of it, whether it's rejection or an opportunity to grow stronger, that's your choice. A Stoic man doesn't cling to what's beyond his control. He doesn't beg people to stay out of fear. He doesn't blame the world when things fall apart. He focuses on what he can control. His reaction. His ability to rise. The way he chooses to live forward. And you know what? When you can sit alone in the pain and the loss, but not abandon yourself, that's not weakness. That's power. That's manhood. Not because you held on to someone, but because you held on to your soul. So if she leaves, let her go. Calmly. Without bitterness. Without resentment. You stay. with your mission, with your training, with your mental clarity. You keep sharpening your craft, staying disciplined, becoming the strongest version of yourself. Not to prove something, not in hopes that one day she'll come back and finally see your worth, but because you already know your worth. A Stoic man doesn't live to cling. He lives to become. He understands real love isn't held in your hands. It's held in your presence. And it's that presence, that calm, grounded strength, that makes people look back. Maybe not today, but eventually they will. You don't need to say much. You don't need to beg. You just need to not abandon yourself even when someone else already has. Because when you can hold on to yourself, no matter who stays or who walks away, you remain the man who does. Part 2. Don't let being ignored make you question your own worth. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt invisible in the eyes of a woman? Maybe it was that moment she suddenly grew distant. Your texts left unread, your questions still sitting there in the chat unanswered. And there you are, staring at your screen, waiting, hoping for something, anything, to remind you that you still matter, that you're still worth coming back for. You can feel the shift. Yesterday, everything felt warm, playful, connected. But today, every word you say falls flat, like throwing stones into a bottomless well. And then, just like thousands of men before you, the self-doubt creeps in. Did I do something wrong? Am I not attractive enough? Is she losing interest in me? Each question cuts like a small, sharp knife, not enough to kill you, but just enough to keep slicing at your self-respect. And before you even realize it, you're spiraling, all because one person stopped giving you the attention they used to. But you know what's even more dangerous than her silence. It's when you start using that lack of attention as a mirror, a distorted mirror, and start measuring yourself through the lens of fear. Fear of being left. Fear of not being enough. As someone who's spent over 3 decades living and teaching Stoic philosophy, let me tell you something I wish every young boy was taught growing up. Your worth does not come from how often others think about you. It comes from how you continue to remember yourself, even when the world forgets. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Other people may ignore you, mock you, or walk away from you. But you must never do that to yourself." And that's the heart of it. It's easy to feel lost when someone's attention, something that once felt comforting, suddenly disappears. But in that silence, in that space where her gaze used to be, you're given a chance to answer a powerful question. Do you truly love yourself, even when nobody else seems to? I've sat with hundreds of men after divorces, after breakups, after betrayal, and here's what I've seen. They didn't just lose a relationship, they lost themselves because they tied their self-worth to a woman's attention, to her smile, to her eyes. And when she looked away, they no longer knew who they were. You see, when you need someone else's attention to feel valuable, you've handed them the keys to your emotions. And once someone else holds that power, whether they mean to or not, you become the one who waits, who wonders, who questions yourself. All because of a text, a look, a pause. Don't go down that road. Stop. Take your power back. Picture this. You're standing in a crowded room. Nobody notices you. Nobody laughs at your jokes. Nobody starts a conversation. And yet nothing about you changes. Your posture is strong. Your shoulders stay open. Your eyes stay steady. Not because someone's watching, but because you know exactly who you are, even in the dark. That's not arrogance. That's presence. That's the quiet confidence Stoic men build not through words, but through living it. You don't need to chase validation. You don't need to say things just to get attention. You are the mountain silent, unmoving, not proud because of who's looking, but grounded because of who you've become. Other people's attention comes and goes, but self-respect, the kind you build through discipline and loyalty to your values, that's your fire in the dark. You protect it. You honor it. She may go quiet. She may drift. But what you must never allow is for her silence to make you go silent on yourself. Keep listening to your own voice. That voice that says I'm enough, not because someone sees it, but because I live in alignment with who I am. Because in the end, not everyone who notices you is genuine. But if you can continue to see yourself clearly, even when others don't, you become someone no one can manipulate. And when you walk with that kind of self-trust, quiet, no need to prove anything, no need to perform. People start to notice, not because you're asking for attention, but because you've become the kind of man who simply can't be ignored. Part 3, become the man she can't shake. I want you to picture this. You and her are going through a quiet phase. She's colder, quieter, sometimes so distant it feels like the woman you knew is slowly fading into the silence. You're still sending texts, but the replies are few and far between. And the conversations, when they do happen, feel awkward and forced. And somewhere in that silence, a voice rises inside you. Do something. Don't let her slip away. I get it. That feeling, it's primal. It's like an alarm going off inside you. But I'm here to tell you the opposite. Stand still. Don't react. Let your steadiness do the talking. I know it sounds counterintuitive, right? But in a world overwhelmed by emotional chaos, where every signal can be misread, where words often backfire, the strongest, most magnetic force you have is calm, grounded, unshakable presence. A mature man, especially one walking the Stoic path, doesn't rush to respond. He doesn't beg for attention when things go cold. He doesn't shrink out of fear of losing someone. He stands tall, even when it hurts. And he lets his stability become the anchor of the relationship, not his emotional reactivity. Have you ever seen a man get pulled into someone else's emotional storm? She goes silent, he panics. She pulls back, he chases. She tests him, and he forgets all his boundaries just to stay in her heart. Let me be straight with you. A woman doesn't want a man who loses himself just to keep her. What she really wants is a man she can't shake. A place of peace and strength that she can lean into without fearing it'll collapse beneath her. So when she gets unpredictable, your emotions need to be predictable. When she pulls back, you don't need to follow. When she goes quiet, you don't need to fill the gap with fear or begging. You just keep living by your values, like a tree that doesn't bend with the first breeze. Remember this. Stability doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself. A Stoic man doesn't suppress emotion with logic. He leads emotion with logic. He might feel his chest tighten when the woman he loves grows distant, but he doesn't let that pain take the wheel. He feels it, but he doesn't act from it. I've coached successful, strong, experienced men, and even they've unraveled at the first wave of relationship drama. They scramble to fix it. They abandon their core just to feel loved again. But what they end up losing is both the woman and their dignity. I'm not saying you should be cold. I'm not saying you should be some emotionless rock who doesn't feel. I'm talking about inner solidity, the kind that holds its ground even when everything else shifts. Because here's the truth. You can't fake steadiness. No matter how strong she is, there will be moments when a woman doubts herself, moments of confusion, moments when she needs to lean on something that won't shake. And in those moments, she's not looking for someone who talks her into staying. She's looking for something solid to step into. And you need to be that place. No arguing, no explaining, no convincing. Just your presence, calm, grounded, unmoved, not scrambling when she pulls away, not abandoning your path just because she's testing your resolve. Because in the end, the man she can't shake is the one she won't want to lose. Not because you held on tightly, not because you begged, but because you made her feel safe. Not through words, but through your unshakable presence. Part 4. Her emotional storm needs your calm. I want you to picture something that probably feels all too real. You're at home. Just another day. She walks into the room, eyes red-faced, tense. No hello, no hug, no explanation. Just this thick, heavy energy in the air. You ask, "Are you okay?" She doesn't answer. Or worse, she snaps at you for even asking. And suddenly, in your own home, a place that once felt familiar, you feel completely lost. No map, no compass. Part of you wants to fix it. Part of you feels hurt because honestly, you have no idea what just happened. Have you ever been in a moment like that? I have. And so have countless other men, sitting there confused, asking ourselves what we did wrong, wondering how things got so tense so fast. But here's what I want you to hear loud and clear. If you meet her chaos with your own panic, you're just adding fuel to the fire. You can't do that. You can't be the wave. You have to be the anchor. Now look that instinct to fix things right away. It comes from fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being pushed away. And that fear makes you speak too soon, apologize too quickly, or act without clarity. You might not even know what you're apologizing for. You just want to stop the silence, the distance, the discomfort. But when you do that, you're unknowingly showing her that her emotions control you. And strangely enough, that doesn't make her feel safer. It makes her feel more unstable. The Stoic man, he does it differently. He doesn't rush to fix. He doesn't guess. He doesn't try to patch it all up right away. He's just there, not as a man with all the answers, but as a presence that doesn't shake. Imagine this. You sit beside her. You don't say much. You don't try to explain anything. Your eyes meet hers without judgment, without fear. And you send one silent message. I'm here, and I'm strong enough to be here with you, no matter where you are emotionally. That's not a trick. That's not a tactic. That's strength. Because calm isn't pretending to be unbothered. Calm is knowing who you are and not being moved by someone else's emotional storm. Because you've already learned to anchor yourself before the storm even showed up. I've seen this play out countless times. A woman spirals emotionally, and the man with her, instead of staying steady, gets pulled in. He raises his voice, he argues, he tries to prove a point, and before you know it, the relationship falls apart. Not because something huge happened, but because neither person was grounded enough to hold space for peace. You've got to be the one who holds that space, not with cold silence, but with calm presence, with quiet strength that says, even if you're spinning out, I'm not. Even if you're falling apart, I'm still right here. Remember this. You don't need to make her happy in that moment. You just need to not fall apart with her. Your peace, your steadiness is the lighthouse in her dark night. It doesn't have to light up the whole ocean, just enough for her to know she's not lost. And one day, when all of it is past, when she's calmed down, she may not remember what you said. She may not recall what you did, but she will never forget how it felt to be next to you. Safe, without a single word needed. Part 5. Silence is the space where you're being tested. I want you to sit down for a moment, take a deep breath, and think back to the last time she suddenly went quiet. No more long messages, no more calls, no more sweet voice on the other end of the line. Just silence. Empty. Cold. And you start asking yourself what happened. Did I do something wrong? Have you ever felt that way? I've heard this story hundreds of times. From men in their 40s, newly divorced. From guys hanging on to relationships that feel like they're slipping through their fingers. They say, "She's pulling away, but I want you to look at it differently. Silence isn't always retreat. Sometimes it's a doorway, a space. And inside that space, you're being tested." Here's what most men were never taught. A woman doesn't only watch who you are when things are going well. She watches most closely when she steps back. Because in those moments, when she's not texting, not calling, not checking in, that's when the real you shows up. So how do you respond when she goes silent? Do you start spiraling, panic texting like a lost kid in a crowded market? Or do you stay still? Breathe. Come back to yourself and keep calm in your eyes. I'm not saying this to turn you into stone. I'm saying this so you realize a grown man doesn't define himself by someone else's emotional rhythm. Silence isn't punishment. It's a proving ground, a space that asks you, can you hold your center when nothing is holding you up like a bridge? Anyone can believe it's strong just by looking, but only when no one's standing on it. When time passes, when the wind blows. Do you really see if that bridge was built to last? She's feeling into that. Not with her ears, but with her heart. She's listening to your energy. Can you stay grounded when no one is clapping for you? When no one's around to soothe you? Because if you collapse in the silence, what you're really saying is, I can't be okay without you. But if you stand strong in the silence, what she hears without you saying a word is, I'm still me, whether you stay or not. And you know what's more attractive than any sweet words? The presence of a man who doesn't fall apart, even when the woman he loves is stepping away. So remember this, silence is not the enemy. It's the space where you're being tested. And if you hold your ground, it might just become the space where she never forgets you. Part 6. Stand still. When she pulls away. I want you to picture this. You're standing alone on a quiet country road. The wind is soft, the evening light is fading. The woman you love, the one who used to smile beside you every morning, is now walking away. No explanation, no anger, just silence and distance. And you, like many men before you, feel your heart trembling. There's a part of you that wants to run after her, call her name, explain everything, ask why. But here's what I need you to hear. That moment right there is one of the most important tests you'll ever face. Not a test of love, but of strength. Stand still. And I don't mean passive. I don't mean cold or disconnected. I mean inner stillness. The kind every Stoic man has to learn to master. Because when a woman pulls away, she's not watching you with her eyes. She's feeling you with her heart. She's asking without words, "Do you need me so badly that you'd lose yourself for me, and you know this? Don't you?" Women aren't drawn to chasing. They're drawn to grounded presence, the kind of man who doesn't crumble just because he's no longer at the center. Standing still means you don't beg, you don't panic, you don't cling, you don't send 3 "Are you okay?" texts just to see a typing bubble appear and disappear. You don't write a long, self-blaming message asking what you did wrong and then torture yourself with her silence. You stand still, and you let her feel the space. In Stoic philosophy, Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." Her stepping back doesn't have to be the end. Sometimes it's just a pause, a space where emotions settle and truth comes into focus. And if you stand still long enough, calm enough, solid enough, she'll feel something no message could ever say. That you didn't stay because you needed her. You stayed because you chose to. I've seen too many men fail in these moments. Not because they didn't love her, but because they were too afraid of losing her. So afraid that they lost their edge, lost their dignity, lost the strength that once made them magnetic. And in that space, what she really feels is, he's no longer the man I admired. So I'm asking you, stand still. Breathe. Don't move from fear. If you act, let it be from clarity. And if she looks back, what brings her back won't be regretful messages or desperate attempts. It'll be you, calm, grounded, living your path, unshaken by someone else's emotional tide. Standing still doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've learned calmness is the mark of a man who knows exactly who he is. Part 7. She's not leaving, she's testing your stability. I know that feeling. That sinking feeling in your chest when you notice she's changed. Fewer texts, less effort. That warmth in her eyes seems to be fading, and your mind starts racing. She's pulling away. She's leaving. But brother, let me tell you something. Sometimes she's not walking away. She's testing to see if you're really the solid man she thought you were. Ever seen an old tree get tested by the wind? Not to knock it down, but to see how deep its roots really go. It's the same with women. When a woman loves deeply, she doesn't want to hand her heart to a man who sways with every gust of emotion. She doesn't test to play games. She tests to feel the truth of who you are. In silence, in distance, in uncertainty. Why? Because in love, words are easy. Anyone can say the right thing. But calmness when you're ignored, consistency when you're in the dark, maturity when you're no longer the center, those are things you can't fake. So ask yourself, are you still chasing your goals? Still working out? Still building your craft and your vision? Are you just sitting there, scrolling through your phone, waiting for her message? Have you become a shadow of who you were? Or are you still the man she once admired? I've lived long enough to see men lose themselves just to keep someone around. And if I could go back and say one thing to my younger self, it would be this: she's not walking away. She's watching to see if she's giving her heart to a pillar or a twig that snaps in the wind. So if she seems distant, don't jump to conclusions. Turn the lens inward. Are you shaking right now? Are you reacting out of fear? Or are you still showing up, living with purpose, walking in your values, standing in your truth? A stoic man doesn't need to control other people's emotions. He just holds his own. And when you do that, you'll see something powerful. He's not gone. She's just looking for a reason to return to a man She knows she can trust, even when everything else is shaking. Part 8. Be the wall, not the wind that reacts. I want you to picture this. A woman is walking through a storm, and the storm isn't you. It's everything inside her. Her emotions are swirling: anger, fear, confusion, and then silence. And you're standing there, right in front of it all. Now here's the question. Will you be the solid wall or the wind that reacts to her every feeling? I've seen far too many men lose their calm just because of one cold message, one distant look, or one unanswered text. And every time they get pulled into her emotional storm, instead of stepping back and observing it like a man with depth. You want to know what makes a woman respect a man. It's not how well he begs for attention. It's not how fast he reacts when she pulls away. It's his ability to remain unmoved, grounded, even when her emotions are all over the place. You don't have to be made of stone, but you do need to be solid. You're not supposed to be numb, but you can't let yourself be controlled. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens that troubles us. It's how we respond to it." Same goes in love, when she's silent, when she's distant, when she tests you with emotional waves, even the ones she may not realize she's sending. You don't react like a gust of wind. You stand like a wall, clear about who you are. That wall doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't strike back. It simply stands. And that solid presence, that stillness, that's what makes a woman feel safe. Safe to return. Safe to open up. Safe to let go of her fear. I once went through a relationship where for 3 weeks the woman I loved stopped texting the way she used to. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong, but I also knew this: I wasn't going to save the relationship by panicking. So I stayed grounded, kept training, kept working, kept my focus. And you know what happened? She came back. Not because I begged, but because she could feel it. I didn't need her to be myself. And that made me worthy of her trust. See, when you're the wall, you don't have to chase. Your calm becomes the magnet. Because a man who's strong enough not to react to everything, he's the kind of man a woman doesn't want to walk away from. Part 9. She may love you, but she'll still go silent to find certainty. I know, it feels unfair. One day she's looking at you with soft eyes, speaking with warmth, holding your hand like you're her safe place. Everything about her says I love you. And then today, she's quiet. No more texts like before. No more late night. I miss you. No more reaching out first. And you start asking that familiar question. Does she not love me anymore? But let me tell you something. Not as a guy giving advice, but as someone who's walked through that emotional pit more times than I care to admit. She might love you deeply and still choose silence, not to hurt you, not to punish you, but because she needs certainty. Certainty about you, certainty about what she's feeling, and most of all, certainty that this love can survive silence, uncertainty, and emotional distance. See, women fall in love through feelings, but they stay through trust. And that trust, it doesn't get built in the sweet moments. It's forged in the quiet ones. When you're not there, comforting her, explaining things, trying to fix it. It's in those moments she really sees you, by noticing your absence. Have you ever realized when you don't chase, when you don't text her what's wrong, when you don't panic? That's when she starts to feel you the most. Not because you're cold, but because she senses something powerful in your stillness. A man who doesn't fall apart when her attention fades. A man who doesn't break down just because she needs space. In Stoicism, we learn to accept what's beyond our control. And someone else's emotions, they will always be beyond your reach. The only thing you can control is how you respond. Do you have the calm to not overthink? The self-control to not spiral during the silence? Can you keep walking, keep living, keep building, even if she's not right there beside you? If the answer is yes, then you're showing her something no text message could ever say. You're a man with depth, not desperate in loneliness, not broken when left alone. I once loved a woman like that. She pulled away. Not because she stopped loving me, but because fear still lived in her heart. She wasn't ready to give her whole heart to a man who only looked strong when everything was easy. She needed to know, if I go silent, will you still stand tall? I didn't send any messages during those days, not out of pride, but because I believed, if the love is real, it doesn't need to be forced. It just needs space and peace to breathe. And you know what? She came back. Not because I begged, but because I never stopped being me, even when she stepped out of reach. My friend, if you're in that moment of silence, that strange space where you don't know what she's thinking, or whether everything is still okay between you two, I just want you to remember one thing. Silence doesn't kill love, but reacting the wrong way to that silence can make you lose yourself. She might be watching. She might be trying to find her sense of safety again. But more importantly, are you staying grounded in who you are? Don't rush to type another message. Don't keep scrolling, waiting for a reply. Turn inward. Start rebuilding your value with action, with purpose, with calm. Because you know what? It's in those quiet moments that you have the rare chance to radiate something no words could ever express. The energy of a man who doesn't waver in someone's absence. If this message speaks to something in your heart, leave a comment below. I want to hear your real voice. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, share this video with them. You might be the person who helps them reclaim a strength they thought they lost. And if you want to keep walking this path of inner strength, hit subscribe. Turn on the bell so you won't miss future messages crafted for men who are growing quietly, day by day. Thank you for being here. Stay centered. And never forget, you don't need to be chased to be unforgettable.